Hi, I'm Stefanie Mosca. We're here at Comtel Plus in Orlando, Florida, and I'm joined today by Drew Allgeier, Director of Business Development for Contingent Network Services. Drew, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Stefanie, thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
Great. How are you today?
Doing great. Thanks. It's been a great show so far.
Glad to hear it. So why don't we talk a little bit about who Contingent Network Services is?
Sure. In a nutshell, we're a global IT infrastructure support company. So when you think in terms of installations and deployments or ongoing break-fix work for really large enterprise or telecom service providers, that's our core competency going back 27 years.
Gotcha. So you guys offer a lot of different products. Why don't we talk about your growth products specifically first?
Sure. To give a bit of background, our core legacy products would be our MacWorks installation deployment service and the NetMedics, which is our ongoing dispatch or break-fix service. So that's the foundation of the company going back 27 years. Over the time, what's happened is service providers and other clients have started outsourcing their logistics services to us as well. So whereas we would typically, in the client lifecycle, be focused on getting a tech on site to do some sort of work at the physical layer, now we're actually inventorying equipment in our warehouse, depoting it, pulling the equipment off, configuring it, shipping it to site, basically taking over all the warehouse operations for customers. And that's our logistics service, which has become a big growth product for us, as well as Everworks managed WAN. Those are the two big growth products for us now on top of our core.
Can you elaborate a little on the Everworks product?
Yeah, absolutely. Everworks came about when some of our, keeping in mind that a lot of our clients are large national retailers, and our target market is typically clients that have no less than 250 locations, but really several hundred to several thousand locations. And because they're retailers, not all of them, but the majority of them, they have needs for PCI DSS compliance, network security. And as you can, in the media you've seen over the years, all the terrible stories about cardholder data being stolen or networks being hacked into and so forth. So we came out with Everworks to provide a managed WAN service for companies like that who had hundreds or thousands of invoices from multiple providers and an unmanaged network without security. And so we were approached originally by Procter & Gamble, who's been a client of ours for many, many years. It started with them about 8 years ago. But really over the last 24 to 36 months, we've had no less than probably 600% growth in that sector, because when we go out and deploy the Everworks service, the client's getting complete consolidation from not only a billing standpoint, but they're getting a PCI DSS compliant network, and we are in fact managing it, monitoring it 24/7 by 365 with an SLA that's automated. So there's no other provider out there, managed service provider out there, that has an automated SLA or the type of SLAs that we have. It's been phenomenally received, and it's huge for us.
Well, that's great to hear. Now, being so immersed in the IT market, are you seeing any trends being prevalent right now?
Lots of trends. More and more we're seeing recently, and you might attribute it to the economy, I'm not sure, but we see IT shops that have fewer people, okay? They may have had a big help desk or a lot of people on their IT staff that are effectively trying to outsource more because they don't have the same budgets that they did. And so what we're seeing more is them asking us to do things that their help desk would normally do for their end user locations that are coming to us, and that our network operations center is now handling for them. So we're doing more help desk to help desk support. Certainly a lot more dispatch work because they don't have the staff anymore to do it themselves and to make all these phone calls and do all the coordination. So that's absolutely a trend. Along with that expense reduction is we're seeing CFOs really push hard on the CIO, CTO to say, why is our telecom spend $90 million? What are we spending this on? Well, these companies will go out and get a TEM company to come in. By no means are we a TEM company, but what we're seeing is the TEMs are coming to Contingent, having our techs go on site and do a physical layer inventory, a telco trace audit basically, where we'll go to a big, assisted care living, for example, that has hundreds of locations, and we'll go out to each site and we'll look at all of their services and tone test tag and come back and let them know that hey, you've been paying for all these services for a long time, but they're not even terminated. They're not even active lines.
Right.
So we're seeing more and more of that from a cost reduction, perspective.
Great. And before you mentioned that the economy could be, a driver behind the downfall for companies like this, how would you say that your products address these challenges?
Very simple. We hear it time and again is when people say to us, I'm answering your question, but a certain way. When people say to us, who's your competition? Like what's the other company you compete against? Our competition is the paradigm shift that IT folks think they need a over-engineered T1 MPLS network, for example, or that there's a certain way of doing it because this is the way we've always done it. What we're seeing is now they're willing to be very creative, right, in how they approach their WAN, all of their IT physical infrastructure layer services, and coming to us to get creative with solutions. So the point being is that more and more, what's interesting for us, because we're a very agile, flexible company, we're seeing clients collaborate in a creative way more so than ever versus saying, hey, how much is that service? I need that service. How much is that service? I need that service. They're saying, here's my problem. Here's my business objective. What can you do? And then we'll sit down with them and craft something custom for them.
Do you find that educational process being a barrier?
No, it's fun for us. That's the thing about Contingent, and the reason I love it is we're very creative. We don't walk out the door each day saying, these are my 4 products to sell, or these are the 5 things we do. We say, this is what we do at our core, but what do you need, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client? What are your objectives? And let's craft something. And that's the fun thing about us.
So it's definitely customizable based on the customer.
Highly customizable. There is no one size fits all. There's not a single client that utilizes any of our service who gets the exact same pricing, design, or execution as another customer. It's at the client level. Right.
Great. Well, it seems like you guys have been very busy and having a great year so far.
Just made the Inc. 5000 for the 4th year in a row.
Congratulations.
If I can interject that.
Absolutely. Yep. Is there anything else we can look forward to from Contingent in the near future?
I would say massive growth. I would say that you'll see some interesting headlines. I can't go into details right now, but you'll see some interesting media releases coming out probably in the next 3 or 4 months about some new partnerships that are of a national scale, as well as our expanded work regarding IP telephony and all the deployments we're doing as more and more service providers are deploying hosted IP. We've made some recent agreements such with Broadsoft, who obviously has multiple providers like XO Communication, who's also a client of ours, selling more and more hosted IP, and so you'll hear more about that aspect of the business.
We definitely look forward to seeing that news in the future.
Yep.
Drew, thank you so much for being here today.
Stephanie, thanks for having us.
Pleasure to have you.